let's do some housekeeping. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kubernetes SIG IBM Cloud meeting today on July 17, 2019. My name is Sadeh Zala, and I'm one of the co-chair for the SIG. Please keep in mind that this is a public meeting and it's being recorded, and this recording will be made available on the YouTube. So be considerate of what you speak about. Yep, somebody needs to mute. I just put let me put one more time the agenda link in the chat for Yanish, so that if you take a quick look there. Let me actually share my screen too, because I want to share a couple of things here today. So I am gonna share my entire desktop. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect, yeah. Perfect. And meanwhile, let me put the name to the attendees. And I'm gonna add Yanish as well. So first topic agenda, as we always have, introduction to the new members, and it's a great day. Like we have 2 new members. So if you guys want to introduce yourself, Benedetto, would you like to go first?
Okay, thanks. So yes, my name is Benedetto Lugiudice. I work for SysDig, and I work on IBM Cloud and IKS, and so I've actually been meaning to be part of this, to attend one of these meetings for a long time, but I haven't been able to. And so I work as a DevOps, and so obviously I'm very interested in the special interest group for IBM Cloud and in the IBM Kubernetes services.
Okay, great. Thanks, Benedetto. Glad to have you in the meeting finally. Like you said, we used to have Marky and Shishang from SysDig join the calls.
Yes, I actually work with both of them. We are in the same team, so especially Shishang and I work together on this project, and Mark is one of the DevOps on other projects. So I think it's just as well that they've been taken with other things.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Well, in today's call or later, just feel free to ask any question to myself, Khalid. He's another co-chair, so him or any of us for any questions, anything you want to know more about the SIG, right? Yanish, finally, you're on call too.
Thank you. So
yep,
with Linux, I have some problems, but now it's working. I haven't tried Zoom and this laptop, but yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Sure. Would you like to give a little intro about yourself too?
Sure. I'm a research software engineer in IBM Research here in Ireland. The last 7 years in the high performance systems team. Now it's called Next Generation Systems. Basically, we have been working the last almost 2 years with ICP, IBM's Cloud Private. We're building assets around that. And, we're looking to engage more with the community, see what's happening, and see how we can push the adoption of Kubernetes and IBM Cloud specifically. And yes. So that's about it from me. And I will be happy to discuss whatever you want around I can introduce our job, our work in another call, or tell you about what we might be open sourcing soon. So yeah, I would be happy to discuss about that some other time.
Okay. Thanks, Yanish. That was great. Yep. And we definitely in one of the other talk, if we can have you to provide some overviews on the open source side. So the SIG is focused on the open source side, Kubernetes and other projects, right? I mean, we already talked in the past. So this is not about any commercial discussions about any of the IBM product or any other products. All right. So that is great. Welcome, Nimesh. I just see you joined the call, so thank you. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Nimesh.
I'm just saying hello, everyone.
Yep, hi. So a couple more things in the agenda today. Khalid will be providing a quick overview of the MCM 3.2. Khalid, are we still on the?
Yeah, I can do a very quick overview. Let me just share my screen. Oh, okay. So you can't start sharing.
Let me stop mine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Didn't seem to work. Okay, there. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah. So just kind of giving a quick update to the SIG about the work that we've done recently on our multi-cloud management effort. So this is something that builds on the private cloud platform that we've had for a while. And I'll just highlight a few of the features and give you a quick kind of overview of the changes that have been made. So one of the key things that we've been doing is to make our platform quite modular. The platform really consists of 3 layers in terms of the core Kubernetes, and then operational management services, then the catalog of middleware and certified containers and cloud packs around that. One of the changes we've made is to be able to deploy the core management services, including logging, monitoring, metering, and so on an existing Kubernetes environment like OpenShift, as well as our own Kubernetes. So that's kind of done in in supporting the partnership we have with Red Hat, which will be extended over time. And the focus really is shifting to the upper layers, right? So the multi-cloud management layer is kind of the main go forward focus in terms of being able to extend Kubernetes to be able to manage multiple clusters and being able to apply policies, deploy workloads and applications across them, and so on. So we've made efforts on aligning with the community, so including things like Kube Federation, which is included in the package as an optional component. We actually leverage the Kube Federation cluster registry and so on within that the multi-cloud manager, and build around that, and we extend the Kubernetes APIs using custom controllers for policies and applications and those things. In addition to that, we've come out with this cloud pack for multi-cloud management that incorporates additional functionality around event management and application performance and those kinds of things. Again, with the idea of extending Kubernetes to support these behaviors. So let me give you a very quick overview of some of the key capabilities. Let me switch to this actually. So this was the original dashboard is still the same, allowing you to integrate and operate, bring together, have visibility across multiple clusters of Kubernetes, whether they're deployed on premise in your data center or on the public cloud side, including managed services like EKS and AKS, as well as Red Hat OpenShift. So this was a capability that we extended. We now allow you to deploy OpenShift clusters or integrate OpenShift clusters natively with this multi-cloud manager. So that was one of the changes. Other areas that we've enhanced is in the whole policy management space. So policies are ways of extending the Kubernetes API to allow you to capture the desired state for various configuration of Kubernetes resources, like things like pod security policies and network policies and other Kubernetes resources. So in this version, we added the ability to kind of group and organize your policies according to various dimensions. You can see the violations by clusters or by different types of policies. And we allow you to group your policies based on, various standards like PCI or HIPAA compliance, or various categories like system integrity or RBAC and so on. And this is all done through, Kubernetes labels, so that the policies themselves are Kubernetes resources, right? So you can see if you, drill into that, the details of the policy, it's all represented as a YAML file, and you can, see the policy definition and operate on it, and so on, just using Kubernetes objects. Okay. So that's kind of the one of the highlights. Another area that we invested in terms of the monitoring aspects of the platform, we allow for a multi-tenant model. So we extend Grafana and allow you to, when you have a management domain that consists of multiple organizations, you can have separate dashboards for Grafana and accessing the information from Prometheus. And depending on which organization you're in, you can switch, for example, switch to the default one. I can see, a different set of dashboards that users in other tenants and so on would not be able to see. Okay. So that's kind of a capability that we've added there. In terms of the overall kind of view of the thing, we've integrated, so the multi-cloud manager runs on a Kubernetes infrastructure. As I said, it's a set of controllers and API extensions to Kubernetes. And we've integrated the both the local cluster management, including things like identity, namespaces, access to those from one UI. In the previous version, you kind of had to switch between UIs to do that, right? And we've integrated search functionality directly into it, so we can pull in information from multiple clusters. We added this ability to get all the unhealthy pods across your clusters, or all the pods that have been recently created, et cetera, right? And you can create your own queries that allow you to customize these things and organize your information across multiple clusters and bring that into a central point of view, right? So that's kind of the main changes. I won't go into a lot of details, like things like metering and monitoring and so on are all multi-cluster aware and are able to pull in information from different clusters and so on. And we will be looking at, as Yana said, contributing some of these capabilities into the community as well, like around policies and so on. That'll be something in the future that we will be looking at. Okay. So I'll pause there. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
I have some
Sorry,
questions.
I'm late. Just a quick question regarding this manager. Does this manager can help IBM customer to see, for example, I want a VM or I want a Kubernetes cluster within certain budget. Can that be one of the policy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the policies are extensible in the sense that today they apply to various Kubernetes resources. We do have capabilities that we're looking at to, it's actually an offering within IBM that allows you to do cost management of resources within different clouds, right? So you can aggregate up and look at the costing and budgeting aspect. So it actually ties into the cloud APIs for pulling in rate information and usage information, and builds cost models around that. But in terms of policies in here, that's an interesting use case. If you can, maybe we can discuss it offline. to understand what you're looking for in terms of the cost of usage of resources. We do have the metering capability that gives you, accurate, fine-grained usage data, and then you can roll that up into your, whatever cost model that you have. If that makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes.
Okay. The multi-cloud manager is intended to be kind of a multi-cluster or multi-cloud platform. There's always other capabilities beyond what we provide in the platform that would be needed by clients and by users and so on. So yep.
Can I ask? So I was wondering, so the interface to the multi-cloud, right? So to the multiple Kubernetes cluster is, okay, it's shown via the dashboard, but what tools, what changes are they made to the command line tools, like what's the Cloud CTL or the kubectl that I can interface? So when I want to create a deployment, where does it go? How would I specify how to deploy a pod in a specific cluster?
So this is where the application model of Kubernetes is extended, or the APIs of Kubernetes. So everything that you see in the GUI is really done using kubectl in the back end, talking to the Kubernetes APIs with a custom resource that represents the application, right? And that allows you to manage and operate on it and view the details and those kinds of things. I can't remember where exactly it is, but somewhere in the UI we actually expose the YAML for creating and operating on these application objects. And that's kind of the model from MCM. Extends. So if you do kubectl, get CRDs, you see this application object, and you can set the YAML files just like in the policies to do that and deploy that across multiple clusters. So there's a notion of placement policies, right, that allow you to target which clusters or which types of resources you want based on labels or ordering by CPUs and so on. The multi-cloud manager uses the cluster registry to maintain the inventory of all your clusters, and we extend that cluster registry with kind of dynamic information like memory, CPU utilization, etc., and then use the placement policies to target workloads to those clusters.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, the only way to deploy, I would need to modify my pods and my deployments to this new CRD that you're introducing to target them.
Well, the CRD really wraps the underlying Kubernetes resources. So things like deployments and pods and so on, you put that into the spec of the application. So it's a wrapper around the thing. So you don't have to change, but you just have to introduce that wrapper. And typically you do that, part of your CI/CD pipeline and so on to add the application concept around that so that we can deploy it.
And one final question, I promise. Why? So the approach that you would specify on an existing Kubernetes object, like a deployment or a pod with just annotations that I want to run this deployment in this cluster, let's say. Wasn't it convenient? I'm just trying to understand the reasoning behind creating a new CRD.
Yeah, so really, because the CRD references other things like placement policies and overrides and those kinds of things, and it's really building upon the work that is done in Kube Federation and trying to align with it. They actually have separate resources to extend that allows you to manage the additional context that you need when you're operating on multiple clusters.
Multiple clusters. Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Khalid. Just a quick question too from myself. Healthy pod. Just wondering what's considered healthy pods. The running one. That's it.
Yeah, so running, or it's like you have like there's various error states in Kubernetes, so you can do it based on those error states, right? So if you have an image pull back off error or things like that, anything that reflects the Kubernetes state, so you can use those to define what is healthy or not.
Oh, so user can define themselves too. I thought.
Well, based on the Kubernetes states, yeah.
Okay.
If it's running or other states and so on.
Gotcha. Thanks. Now, I just wondering, is there any Kubernetes version binding when using multi-cloud manager? Like, does the different?
We support whatever versions of Kubernetes that are in the target cluster, so there's no hard dependency on that. We just rely on the Kubernetes APIs to be there. So as long as it's conformant with the Kubernetes APIs, we're able to pull in that information and operate on those things.
Gotcha. Cool. Thanks. Any other question for Khalid?
If no one has, I have one last, one more. So the manager itself, it's running on one of the clusters, or it can run even locally as long as there is kubectl connection, let's say, to the remote cluster.
Yeah, as long as you have network connectivity, kube control, or access to the API server, you can run it on premise and manage, remote clusters, as long as you have your, VPN connection and those kinds of things. That allows you, or those clusters are public or whatever, right? Have a public IP that you can access.
Yeah, so it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't also run.
Yeah, or you can run it on the cloud as well and manage other clusters running in different cloud providers and so on.
Yeah, thanks. I'm good.
All right, great. Thank you. Let me share my screen now. I'll share a couple of things. And before I do that, Shashank, thanks for joining. Glad you could make it. Can you see my screen? Should, right? So I want to share this thing. It's good and bad news. The bad news is today is probably our last meeting as an IBM Cloud SIG. The good news is, this is as per the plan. We reached an important milestone here. All the cloud provider SIGs, special interest group, IBM Cloud and other cloud providers, the process was started last year to move all these SIGs under cloud provider SIG as in sub project. So, IBM Cloud SIG, AWS SIG, Azure SIGs, and all other SIGs, they are all moving under the cloud provider SIG. I just put a few links here, and one of them here is the PR, which is in progress right now. You can see it. But yeah, this is the one it's going on. I do have, I think there are a few things are still in sort of, in work right now. But yeah, it's basically, so a few things like, renaming related things, right? As everything is moving under a cloud provider, what's going to happen, right? So a lot of things here, but it's basically, they'll be renaming the Slack channel. So we have SIG IBM Cloud today. It will be renamed to something like Cloud Provider IBM Cloud, and same thing with other providers. We will continue having our meetings. They said nothing much change. It's besides that we are now sub-project once this PR is merged. So we're going to continue doing, the business as usual. We already have one sub-project, the cluster API, IBM Cloud. So it's already listed on the cloud provider README. Our README is still there with some deprecation warning there. Our mailing list, mailing list will be the one they are still thinking to move. And like, I got the latest reply, label, right? So we identify any issues or feature reported in Kubernetes against SIG with SIG specific labels. So they are working on that. And we're gonna have like a different label basically instead of SIG label. We're gonna continue having our talk at the coming KubeCons, not as in SIG, but more like as a working group or sub project. So we can have our own talk there. We will be modifying few things. I have I opened some requests in the our own the cloud provider SIG to change some of the things, making sure some of the reviewers gets changed. They're gonna dropping the alias for the SIG, all the SIG specific things, IBM Cloud and other SIGs, right? So things going on, multiple things going on there. But I think this PR should be merged soon. Pretty much everyone is, agreed upon the changes, except there are a few things here and there. So that was the one thing I wanted to mention. There is an issue. If you are interested, you can take a look later. But this is an issue created, with the proposal to steering committee for these changes. So it's happening. Like I said, we're not gonna be a SIG, but that's a milestone. That's something we everyone in the community were looking forward to consolidate all these provider SIG efforts. So that's happening. I just wanted to share that. I guess in next 2 or 3 weeks we should have an opportunity to submit our session as a working group, as I mentioned. So, but nothing to mention more than that today. So any questions there? Okay, not, like I said, nothing much changed besides being sub-project. And Richard is not here today. I think he's on vacation from past 2-3 weeks, summer vacation. You know what is summer means when you live in Minnesota. People don't work. You want to enjoy your summer. So he's on vacation. But once he's back, I think we will have him to provide updates on the cloud provider source code that we are in process of open sourcing from the IKS side. So, once we have those open source, there will be another sub project within IBM sub project on the cloud provider side. That's pretty much it as per the agenda. Anything else anyone wants to talk? Any comments? Let me stop sharing my screen meanwhile. Well, if there is no comments, nothing, I guess. So we had a good 30 minutes of meeting today. Nimesh, anything? I just saw you unmuting yourself. So.
No, I just wanted to thank you for organizing these meetings. And I'm looking forward to meet some of the folks who attend this meeting at our KubeCon and other face-to-face meetings. I think we had a very good conversation and very good participation at KubeCon, and we look forward to continue as a working group in the future such events. So, and Sadie, thank you for organizing all these activities. Really appreciate it.
Yep. No problem, Nimesh. And thanks for all your support here. Nimesh manages the open source, many projects on the open source side in IBM, including Kubernetes and blockchain and others. So thanks, Nimesh. And it's a good you are on video. Good to see you. Usually we missed that part. So well, with that, thanks again, Khalid, for the overview. And thanks everyone for joining. Yanish, Benedetto, Shishang. I look forward to continue having these meetings, as Nimesh mentioned. And that's it. Let's call it a meeting and see you next time.
Thank you.
Nice to
Bye.
meet you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, Khalid.